So I thought I was going to be a mother by now. And I thought I was going to have clarity around just where I was going in my life, my career. I thought I would have my own home. And instead, one day I woke up at 32 feeling like I was in a cage. And I felt like I did not recognize the life that I had built. So this is for someone that, like you, maybe you're a high achiever, you did all the degrees, you were the good daughter, got everything in order, and yet you still feel empty inside. And you're looking at other people and you're like, I thought I would be further by now. I thought I would be clear. You're not crazy, okay? I'm here to tell you, you're not crazy, girl. You're not crazy. It is called timeline grief. It is mourning the life that you thought you would have. And I'm here to tell you as well is that society likes to say that you have a timeline, that in your 30s, you're supposed to have clarity. In your 20s, you're supposed to be figuring it out. And by your 40s, you're supposed to be flying. And I want to remind you that that timeline is a lie, is BS, and it's never too late to start your life again. So in this video, we're going to talk about everything: how to audit your timeline, your life, how to audit your finances, your career, your friendship, your identity. This is not just a pep talk, okay? This is an eviction notice of the life that you had. I want you to throw it away, because by the time we get through the end of this video, you are going to have a whole completely new life and a new vision of the life that you are building today. And also a reminder that you can reset your life at any time. So first, I want to talk about timeline grief, okay? And timeline grief is mourning the life that you thought you would have. You just wake up one day and you don't recognize your life. And you're really trying to figure out what happened. Like, where did I go wrong? Especially when you hit your 30s. I know for me, I was literally in my childhood bedroom, and it was really crazy because, mind you, I had a master's degree from Georgetown. I did everything right. We're going to talk about being the good daughter, the first gen daughter. That's a whole different conversation, but that was part of my story as well. And technically, it felt like I was supposed to have everything on track. And I had the 6 figures and all those things, but yet one day I was laid off from my job. The relationship I was in did not make any sense at all. Literally, we were just in this loop for 5 years, not getting anywhere closer to marriage, which is what I desired. And I was looking at my friends and I felt like, okay, they're married, they have kids, they seem a bit happy with their job, their situation. What happened to mine? And what I realized was that, the map that I built out for myself in my 20s, it didn't make sense. And it didn't make sense because I was looking at everyone else's timeline, And I think honestly, especially as a millennial, what made things worse as far as this timeline grief is the fact that we have social media. And literally every day you can log onto Instagram, YouTube, you can log into any social media app, and literally the world is telling you you're supposed to be here, okay? So you're here and the world is like, no, you should be on a yacht by now. You should have all this money. You should be a millionaire by now. You should be clear around your job. Everybody is happy. Everybody's living this glorious, glamorous life. And what they don't tell you is it's a lie. Most of those people are not happy. Most of those people are suffering. And so you are in that loop with them. And so I know at 32, I was literally in my childhood bedroom. I woke up. I did not recognize the life I built. And I had to ask myself a question I never had to ask myself before. What do I want? What would make me happy? What would make me feel like I'm complete? Would make me feel like I'm in purpose, I'm in alignment? And I think also the first thing I also had to do was separate from this good daughter system, right? It is a software system that I started up in my 20s, right? This is when you go to college, then you go on, maybe some of us got our master's degree, some of us went to get that ambitious job, and you're doing all the things your parents told you you're supposed to do. I'm Nigerian, so my mom was like, you're going to be the doctor. I didn't even get the other options. I didn't get the options of like, oh, you get an opportunity to be an engineer. You get an opportunity to, do computer science. You get an opportunity to be a lawyer. I didn't get those options. I just got, you're going to be a doctor. And I remember funny enough, I had a full scholarship to my school. And my parents were like, no, you're going to get pre-med. And I fought against it. I hated it so much. And I did it because I'm the first daughter. I'm the Ada. That's what we call it in the Igbo language. And I felt like, okay, I had a duty. My parents helped me and did all these things. The least I can do is to go on to become this pre-med. And quite quickly, when I did my first degree, I realized I hated it. And I realized I really wanted to do psychology. And it drained me inside to call my parents and tell them I did not want to do that thing. And I had to lie. I really had to lie because they were not trying to listen. And funny enough, even when I went on to get my master's, because I was delaying the inevitable, which is I don't want to be a doctor. So I was like, okay, let me get a master's, and then I'll have this 6 figures and everyone will be happy. And I'll never forget the day of my graduation. My parents were like, okay, so are we going to medical school? Like, have you started applying? And I had to really be honest with myself and tell my parents no, and a lot of people are afraid to say no. A lot of people don't want to have those boundaries, especially with their parents and their family and their friends. So the first step you got to do is audit your life, right? And I think another thing that you got to do is when you're in this timeline grief and you're mourning the life that you thought you would have, it's a bit like this grief, it causes a stress in your body. And there's this book that says the body holds a score. And I know for me, eczema flared all over my body. And it was this stress that it was literally telling myself, I'm actually going towards a mental health crisis. And this cannot be solved by simply just taking a bubble bath and doing some self-care. See, life happens. My husband interrupted me. Anyways, so what I was saying was this grief, it causes this physical stress on your body. And what I realized was that I was having a mental health crisis, right? And this required really deep work. This was not as simple as a bubble bath. This wasn't as simple as, oh, let me do a mani-pedi and do a spa. Like, this required real help. And so I made sure I got a therapist. I made sure I had a coach. And I made sure I got someone that would put me in position to ask me the hard questions I didn't want to ask myself, right? Because I think a lot of times, especially when you have family and friends, it's very easy to go to them and hopefully they'll give you the advice and all those things. But I always encourage women, especially at this stage of your life, when you're mourning this type of thing and you feel confused and lost, get a coach, get a therapist, work through those mental health issues. It's not something that's going to be solved overnight. I also want to address the fear of wasting your time, right? And a lot of times people say, I just wasted all my 20s, I wasted the past 10 years, and I was just running around aimlessly, mindlessly, and I didn't have clarity around my life, and now I'm 30 and I'm supposed to have it all together because everyone else looks like they have it together. What am I supposed to do? And I want to address that fear. Those 10 years were not wasted. Those were 10 years of data that you gathered. That was 10 years of you understanding yourself, having the chance and the ability to really fine tune where you want to go in life, what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be moving towards. And now we're going to be able to use that data and get clarity around how to move forward, right? Now you're able to look at, okay, all the jobs I'm in, were there any of the jobs I like? Do I need to pivot? Do I need to get some career education, some career development in order to pivot, right? This is the chance for you to look at your data. Like, I know for me, one of the hard things I have to do is look at my finances and say, okay, I'm making 6 figures, but could I do more, right? Could I budget more? Could I invest more? Can I invest in financial education to help me move towards a life that is clearer around my finances? This is the time to do that audit, right? I don't think you should look at gloom and say, oh, it's all wasted. It's not wasted, right? Even if you got in a relationship and you wasted 10 years, it's not wasted. You are taking those lessons into the right relationship. You're taking those years into a relationship that's going to be blooming. You're able to understand yourself better. And I think as women, time is never wasted. Time is only information. There is a cost. There is a cost to saying the same, okay? There is literally a financial cost. There's a personal cost. There's an identity cost when you stay in the same situation. So let me tell you the financial cost. Those Amazon girls that every day you're ordering from Amazon because you're just sad and you're moping around and you're just consuming, a lot of times there's an issue. There's a problem you need to address. If every day there's an Amazon package coming up on your doorstep, that's a problem. There's some type of retail therapy that you need to work through. That's the time to actually get a real therapist, okay? I think the other thing is that you're consistently buying things to improve your status. And we all do it, we all do things where we're buying items and things that we had no business buying, right? The rule of thumb is if you can't buy it 2 times, because if you lose that product, can you buy it again? Then you have to ask yourself, did I have any business buying that item, right? It could be buying business class. It could be buying a Chanel bag. It could be buying whatever, right? And you're trying to do these things because you want to flex. Oh, I just got a BMW. I want to flex on everybody. And again, I had to, when I was 32 and I was doing that assessment, I was auditing my financial life, I had to ask myself, okay, Chica, what's important to you? I think a good book I want to plug in here is The 4-Hour Work Week. Not for the system itself, but in the book, he has an exercise where he talks about actually put together financially where you want to be. What is that number? Write down every single item that you actually want in your life. What's important to you, not what other people are doing. And actually figure out how much those items cost. And add those things together. And you'll be shocked that, oh, maybe I only need, $100K a year. Maybe I only need $1 million and I'm okay, right? Like maybe I don't need tens of millions. Maybe I only need 200K. Like whatever it is, take time to calculate that. And I know I did that for me. I started saying, I'm not into fancy cars. I'm not into fancy bags. Maybe 1 or 2 bags I may buy a year. And these have to be classic bags I can use over and over again. I'm not, into a big home. If I have a nice little penthouse, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? As long as I have space for my husband and a child in the future, right? I'm good. And an office and a few other spaces. Like really ask yourself. I know for me, I rather invest my money into vacations versus physical items. So do a financial audit of what does it actually cost to live your dream life. And I think a lot of people don't do that. I think a lot of people just put together this arbitrary number. I need 6 figures. I need $1 million. I need $10 million. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, okay, what do I actually want in my life? What does it look like? Calculate and get to that number. And I think another thing is understanding that all of this status and flexing and buying things that you don't need eventually leads to burnout. And I'm going to do a whole nother video around burnout. And also, what is the opportunity cost of you staying in a job that you hate? And I'm speaking to y'all because I know I was in that situation. When I got laid off at 32, and I think the first thing I said to myself was, but I hated that job. Why was I there? Like, I had no business being in that job. And so there is an opportunity cost to every day waking up to a job you don't like. Now, that is different if you are already working towards an exit plan. Maybe you already say you want to have your own entrepreneur job. Maybe there's another career opportunity and you need some career education, or there's a ladder to that next step, so you're in that job for security. I completely understand that. I'm not saying just go quit your job. Obviously have a financial backing, right? Have a safety net before you do that. But there is an opportunity cost. And if you don't like the job you're in today, it's not too late to pivot. It's not too late to go from accounting to a coder, right? It's not too late to go from, someone who's in HR and actually you want to be an artist, a painting artist, not a musical one, right? But you have to really ask yourself, what is the opportunity cost of me staying in something I don't like? And if you really watch this video and you realize I don't like the job I'm in, I don't like the career I'm in, then don't waste another minute on that career. Actually sit down and map up a plan of what you want. And again, at the end of the video, I'm going to talk through some steps of how to pivot away, whether it's a career pivot, whether it's a financial pivot, whether it's a relationship pivot, towards actually something that you want. And I think another thing I want to talk about is the golden handcuffs, because most people that are in this situation are actually people who are doing quite well. They're earning 6 figures, right? They on paper look good, but they hate their life. There's so many women I know that are in amazing jobs. They're in amazing situations and they hate it because it's not what they wanted. Because either they're following a family script, a friendship script, an identity script that they're given to them, and it wasn't the script that they had for themselves. And so again, I want you to ask yourself as you're listening to me and you're listening to this video, write down anything that feels good. Oh, you know what, Chica, I don't like this job, but these are the things that feel good to me. These are the type of opportunities I see in my life. This is the vision I have for my life. And I feel like when you start to do that and start to understand the opportunity cost, then you know that you're going towards something and you're actually asking yourself honest questions that you have not asked yourself before. And the other thing I want to say about this is you stay in your corporate job because of the salary, but you don't have any financial independence. And what I mean by that is so many Americans specifically are living paycheck to paycheck. They have no idea how much it costs to live in the life they're living. They're not looking at budgeting. They're not looking at investing. I'm a woman. I know how little of conversations I have with my friends around investing, right? My husband, every other day he's talking about, oh yeah, in the group chat we're investing in this. Okay, like he literally brings up business opportunities for me to invest in. And I'm like, if I was not with my husband, would I have these type of opportunities? And I'm gonna be very honest, I don't know too many women who approach me and say, hey, invest in this business, right? And so I also think that's a conversation that we need to have, right? Is that if you're in a corporate job because of the salary, no problem. But if you know you don't want to be in that, then you don't have financial independence. So you need to now ask yourself, okay, what is the savings and the investing and the budgeting I need to do in order to pivot into what I actually want? And see your job as an escape fund, right? Put your money towards something that's actually working towards you, right? So I know for me, again, when I woke up at 32, I was a technical recruiter. I was making well over 6 figures. I was in a comfortable situation, but I did not like it. And so I started putting my money towards being an entrepreneur. And eventually I had the opportunity 2 years later to pivot into that type of business. And I've been an entrepreneur ever since, right? And I'm 37, so it's been 5 years. So I'm grateful. But I saw my career at some point as this was just a means to an end. It was a way for me to invest. But I started putting my money into mutual funds. I started putting my money into stocks, right? Even my husband, he helped me set it up. He helped me set up Robinhood, right? And he was like, hey, babes, make sure you put your money. And literally every month, it's taking money away from my main bank account and it's investing in different mutual funds. You have to do that, ladies. We have to start having these honest conversations around our jobs. And if you're in a corporate job and you know you want to pivot, then you have to have a plan. And that plan includes getting clear about your numbers. Okay, so now you're at the point of the video where you're like, okay, Chica, I'm grieving the life that I thought I was going to have. I'm not happy. I'm not in a situation where I want to be. I want to reset my life. How do I do that? I need you to take out a pen. The first thing I need you to do is you need to do an inventory. And I need you to write down 3 things you are doing right now because of the clock. And what that means is maybe you're in a relationship because you're like, well, he's doing something for me and I'm 36 and my time is running out as far as having children. I need you to write that down. Because no, you don't need to be in that relationship, okay? Maybe it's the job. Maybe it's a family member that you need to put a boundary around, right? Maybe it's maybe it's a goal, like something that's happening in your life that you're doing just because of the clock, right? Maybe it's keeping a certain job title, right? All those things, I want you to write down 3 things, right? And I want you to get clear about those 3 things, and I want you to let it go. Okay, I want you to have a plan of letting those 3 things go. Now, of course, if it's a job, it's not 1, 2, 3, but that means, again, like I said, put a safety net. Start putting things in place so that you can pivot away from that. Especially for my women who are dating, I want you to understand that it is fine to take your time and find the right person. Please do not rush and put yourself in a situation because it's the time, right? My best friend literally married 10 years before me, okay? She literally got married in her 20s. I got married in my mid-30s and I'm fine. We're both okay. We're both good. She got 2 kids. I don't have a kid. I'm fine, okay? I'm enjoying my life with no children, going around, flying around, enjoying my life. I'm good. So I want you to do that audit. That's the first thing, is that inventory. Then I want you to do the purge. I want you to identify one thing in your life that is draining you. Again, it could be the job. It could be a man. But specifically, I think most of us are in a friendship that is toxic and draining you. I've shared this story on my other socials, but I'll share this again. I remember I had a friend who was subtle, but she was very jealous of me. And it was subtle. And I didn't realize it. Like, she never really came out and said anything, but it'd be little jabs, And I think the jab that I remember hearing, and I was like, ooh, I gotta pay attention to this situation, was when, we're at a wedding, and there was this guy that all night was trying to talk to me, all night. This was obviously before I was married. And she was like, oh, I think it's just because you're bald. That's why, the men are looking at you. And I remember laughing. And at the time, I didn't think too much of it. I was like, okay, well, it is what it is. But then when everything started to unravel, I realized, oh, she's been doing this all along. So take time to do that audit and purge that friendship, that person in your life, that family member again, that maybe there's a boundary, maybe it's a conversation with your mother, maybe it's a conversation with your father, right? That's draining you and that's not putting you in a position of abundance. Because I always tell people to reset your life, to rebrand your life, and to tell yourself that, hey, I want a different life. I want to be unrecognizable by the end of this year. You can't have scarcity mindset around you. You can't have scarce people around you. You can't have people that have broke mentality. You can't have people who have scarce mentality. You can't have people who are toxic around you. Everything around you has to be light. Everything around you has to be abundant. It has to be flowing. So I know for me, I'm consistently purging those type of people. Negative talk, I remove it. You say I can't do something, you're gone. You know, I'm now 37, so I'm really not tolerant of these situations anymore. I'm very clear of the energies that are around me. So really take the time to figure out what is doing that. And then I want you to set the new standard. I want you to write down, what does success look like to you? Not to your mother, not to your father, not to your sister, not to your friends, not to your man. What does success look like to you? It simply could be, I'm living in the farm somewhere and I have my little chickens and my little horses and I'm on the farmland. That could be your life. Maybe you just want a simple life. It could be, I don't want to live in the US. There's a lot, I did it. I left. You know, I'm now spending more of my time in Nigeria. That was what success looked like to me. I wanted to have a life where I felt free, where, okay, tomorrow I'm in the US, tomorrow I'm in Nigeria, tomorrow I'm in London. Like, I wanted a life where I wasn't attached to one specific zip code, right? And if that is you and you're like, hey, how do I leave? Let's have a conversation, comment below. I'm more than happy to have that conversation of how to do that transition. But you have to write it. You have to say it out loud. You have to affirm it to yourself. You have to wake up every day and say, I am this person. I am going to be this person. And you also have to start surrounding yourself with resources. So a really good thing and book I've been reading, again, I've read this book several times, is The Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think it's a really good book to help you not only with creating a new habit, but creating systems and helping you with productivity, right? Helping you push towards those things. Because once you have identified, okay, these are the things three things I'm doing because of the clock or because the timeline told me so. These are the things that are draining me, that I need to purge out of my life. And then once you now identify the things that are success, the things you want to do, you have to create systems. That's what James Clear says. He says in his book that most people's habits fall because there's no systems. So I know for me, I started putting together systems in order to do that. Quick thing I'm actually doing, and it's interesting because this video here is part of it, is every day for 90 days I'm going to show up on YouTube and I'm going to talk about living my life, rebranding my life, reinvention, timeline grieve. I'm going to talk about dating. I'm going to talk about being the good daughter. I'm going to talk about how to get your money right. I'm going to talk about all the different things that are going to equip you to live the life you want to live. And so in order for me to do that, I'm in my strict era. Okay, if I am doing something for 90 days, it's not only about showing up on YouTube, I have to show up in other ways, right? So the first thing I did was I went to my Claude, or Anthropic, as you like to call it. I know some people like ChatGPT. I prefer Claude. I think Claude has less biases, and I think Claude is actually strict. You know, ChatGPT, I think sometimes just follows along with you, says, yeah, whatever you want. I think Claude actually is like a realist. And so I said, hey, for the next 90 days, I want to be unrecognizable, right? I want to lose the weight I've been saying I was going to lose how many years ago. I want to actually eat the right food. I want to make sure I wake up every day at the same time. I am literally writing a book right now because y'all been asking for this timeline grief. And so literally I have 9 months to write a book. So I need to wake up and make sure I'm writing this book every single day, right? But also I need to wake up and put aside time to do these daily YouTube videos. And so I really put all those informations in Claude. I sent it a voice note. It gave me a schedule. But not only did it give me a schedule, I now said, hey, what are the systems I need to put in place so that I don't fail, right? What are the systems I need to put in place so that even if maybe one day I get off track because I do travel a lot, I still can get back into achieving my 90-day strict era. And it actually gave me really good inputs of like, hey, making sure your phone is in a different room when you wake up. Make sure you don't look at your laptop, you know, and do other things. Make sure your laptop only has your manuscript. Make sure as soon as you wake up and you look at the sun, you go outside, you walk for 15 minutes so you can start, you know, getting that body activated, right? So it started giving me like systems put in place. I put those those systems in my Google Sheets and also my Notion, right? I have a Notion planner. That's how it plans my whole life for me. That's how I feel productive, is actually having a Notion system. So again, I'm more than happy to share all these different resources in my description. And if you want me to go more in details of how I'm using Claude to literally reset my life and rebrand my life, then I'll also more than happy to share that with you as well. And also, I'm treating these 90 days like a master's degree, okay? I think I've done a lot of good things in my life, and I feel like, last year, one of my goals, my dream goals, was to be a published author, right? Or actually to be signed by an agent and to get a big top 5 publisher to actually accept my book proposal, which is what happened. Yay me, that right? But now I'm in this new year, and what I realized was like, you know what? There's certain things that are holding me back. And yes, there was a time at 32, I was grieving the life I'm having, and I'm now slowly living the life I want. But it's now time for me to step up and reset the life that I said I was gonna live now at 37. And so I said in 90 days, I need to actually create a new system. I need to create a new way of showing up, right? And so hopefully every week I'm gonna share that with you. But I think one of the things that I'm doing is I'm treating this like a master's. I am literally investing in personal development. I'm educating myself. I'm watching different YouTube videos. I'm just doing a lot of the career education. So I'm pivoting away from an employee, right? Which is like being employee of my old habits, to actually becoming this author and becoming an owner, someone who's owning my life and my systems. And I feel like all of us have to go on this journey of owning everything. And so hopefully you'll be able to follow this journey along with me as well. And here's the thing, if you don't do this audit that I'm talking about, you're gonna wake up 40 years old and you're still gonna be at the same place, okay? You're gonna look at yourself and say, everyone else did these things and I decided not to do it. I'll give you a perfect example. I see some people who started YouTube around the same time I did, and I stopped. And a lot of times, the difference between someone achieving the life they want to achieve, someone actually rebranding, is actually just waking up and being consistent every day. And I know for me, I was not consistent with YouTube, and I stopped. And I actually focused on a different YouTube channel, right? And now I'm looking at some people, I'm like, wait, they're like 10x further along than me, honestly, because they just showed up and they were consistent. So I want for you to actually do this audit. I want you to audit your finances. I want you to audit your friends. I want you to audit your career, right? I really want you to take time and don't do anything. Don't like make any sudden movements. Just literally do the audit. Actually walk yourself through some questions. Ask yourself the hard questions. Are you happy? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel like you're purpose-led? And I'm telling you, if you actually audit your life, literally auditing your timeline is going to take you to be unrecognizable in a year. There's no way around that. But there's actually one other specific thing that I want to talk about when it comes to auditing your life, and that is being the good daughter, right? And a lot of us have this challenge where we're trying to be this model daughter or first daughter to our parents, especially our mother-daughter relationships. It can be very complicated. It can be really challenging. And sometimes you being the good daughter is actually keeping you broke. And I want to talk about how in my next video that you get to watch is that when you break free from being the good daughter, it actually can make you rich. So this is day 1 of my 90 days of resetting my life. Join this journey with me. Comment below. Let me know if you're joining in, if we should do a group together, connect. I love community, and I'll see you in my next video.